I'm Barbara. I'm a compulsive overeater, bulimic. I weigh and measure off the gray sheet, turn it over to a sponsor. I don't eat no matter what. And absence is absolutely, absolutely the most important thing. And man, I was just thinking, well, when I was getting on here, seeing people get on, like you are the people in my life who I love. Like you are the people, and there's many of you here, some I don't know, but I know you. Because if you're here and you're abstinent or you're struggling and you're and not abstinent, doesn't make a difference. You're here. And I've been with several people in this room, shared a lot of good times, meals, traveling, whatever. Sponsoring, just like you guys are my people. That is so profound because sometimes I think I've been in 12 steps for so long that I kind of think like, well, of course I can call anybody any time of the day. Of course I can connect. Of course, if I feel crappy, I can share it. Of course, if I make a gray sheet food mistake, I can turn it over and not be punished. Of course, I get to learn from you guys because you guys are my greatest teachers. Because prior to Gray Sheet, I couldn't learn a lot of stuff because I was very, very, very sick. Um, so what do I have to say? Why am I here? Well, let's just say May 14th, I'm 10 years back after a horrible, horrible year relapse where I was back into binging and purging my guts out, and I was back in drinking and drugging. That's where the nature of addiction takes me into a very, very ugly, sneaky, dishonest place. I'm not pretty in addiction. My insides are very secretive and not trusting. And then on the outside, I just don't want to feel. Um, and so that time came where in a year, after being 12 and a half years abstinent and sober and clean, I picked up a drug and never told anybody after a surgery. Um, and if any of you are multi-addiction, I'll stick really to the food, but I'm multi-addiction. But there's no question in my life that the food will kill me and I will die. It's my first addiction. It was the thing that was in the house that even though there wasn't much food in the house or sugar or carbs, I needed relief. And I didn't know that the relief I needed was because I did not know that I was petrified, I was fearful, and I shut down and something wasn't right. And that's when I built the wall. So that year, which I always say that year was nobody in my children had never seen their mother wasted. I'm not one of these people that did like a little, I was doing a lot of cocaine. I picked up ecstasy to try it because why not? And I was doing just a lot of stuff. And in the end, my head was always in the toilet. I had over 20 years of bulimia. So we're all here, different stories, different body sizes, different ends of the disease, doesn't make a difference. We're here because this gray sheet for carbohydrate sensitive people works. And our stories are different, and yet we totally get each other. For me, the food started at 5. And I have to say, I picked up the food at 5. I shut down. I became sneaky. I became a liar. And I learned how to dance around and people please and always how to look good. Because if you found out what was going on with me, then what would happen to me? Um, and, I'm not here to say, some of us may come from good families and still eat. You know what? It doesn't make a difference. If you're here and this food plan works, then this prescription is amazing and it works for me. Um, my life was obsessed about bodies. I was hearing somebody talk about last night about Gloria Stevens. And it was this program in Massachusetts, but my mother bought the Gloria Stevens machine, which was a machine you wrapped around and you were jiggling to try to get the shit off your hip. Oops, to try to get the stuff off your hips. And you were wearing these purple leotards. It was awful. Everything in my life was, you better look a certain way, you better be smart, you better be successful, you better marry well. And if you get that, nobody will love you. And meanwhile, nobody was there and everybody was shut down. And I shut down and the food just stunted me. But even through being stunted, being obsessed with my body, 10 years old, I picked up my first cigarette at 9. I picked up my first Black Beauty at 12. Um, I really got into the drugs and the alcohol in college, but I never had a moment of freedom with my body. I did not come from morbid obesity, 30 pounds, 35 pounds, 30 pounds. I don't remember. It doesn't make a difference in college. Um, but I did gain 70 pounds when I got pregnant, and I gained it walking 5 miles a day. I couldn't smoke cigarettes. I could only eat. So, and then I had a 7 pound baby. And then when I got pregnant with my first kid and gaining 70 pounds, my second daughter, my second kid, I said, I'm not getting fat while I'm pregnant. And I was puking and nobody knew. And my daughter was born with a rare syndrome, where I thought it was because I was puking. It didn't have anything to do with that, but it doesn't make a difference. Every decision I made in my life was based on fear, impulse. I wanted somebody to save me. A man was going to save me. I don't know why I thought a man was going to save me. Oh my God. But the truth was, I did well in areas of my life, but nothing was really that important. I have to tell you, that's the truth because I was body obsessed, I was food obsessed, and I had over 22 years, maybe more, of bulimia. And for people to say, oh, you were bulimic, you could control your weight, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It's an awful, awful addiction. And it's secretive. It's, being that perfectionist. Um, and if you're a perfectionist, as we know, perfectionism is all about controlling, and thinking you're doing a better job because God forbid anybody else does it. I have to say, because I slowly am in my body, I'm coming to in my body. I have been disconnected for many years from my body because I had no idea the degree of disassociation and fantasy that I lived in. That was my survival along with the food. I'm not saying I didn't do things. I got married. Like, the way I made a decision about marriage is like the way you might go to TJ Maxx and pick a sweater out. I'll marry him. I'm serious. Um, my friends got pregnant. I'll get pregnant. I will say I have two amazing kids. And I always say I don't know where they came from, but let's say this way, I was not my mother or not my father. A lot of mental illness in my family. Yeah, mental illness. And I have to remember, an eating disorder is a form of mental illness, and my eating saved me. A lot of I come from mental illness. My father died young, but my mother comes from two brothers that killed themselves, and my twin sister committed suicide and left two babies. And I have an older sister. If she's not medicated, she's in a straitjacket. So for me, but everybody looked good. 10 minutes? That was the key. Everybody looked good. Like if you look good on the outside, and meanwhile, it's so sad. And by the way, it's taken me a long time to get to sadness. It still is very hard for me to cry, very hard for me to tell the truth. I've always told the truth, but there's always a part that I haven't. It's just the way I'm wired. But a day at a time, I'm letting go of stuff. Um, so what does that have to do with Gray Sheet? Everything. This is an amazing program. I'm Cambridge Gray Sheet, Cambridge, Mass. Old timers, where the majority of the old timers are over 40 years. It was part of OA. I'm still Gray Sheet. Saturday morning is still my home group. I stick to the Gray Sheet. I learned in Gray Sheet, it's the food, the food, the food. You're not here to get better. You're not here to get good. You're here to get better. I was told to reach out to people and get a sponsor and go to meetings. And that was it. I was not told if you don't do the steps, you're going to eat. If you have a resentment, you're going to eat. None of that. It's like hand to mouth. You do not eat. Some of us do the steps, some of us don't. Some of us do the steps the Buddhist way. It doesn't make a difference. I'm finally saying that what my truth is, I believe you guys are my higher power. I never had a God. I didn't come from religion. I still don't believe in a God. I believe in an inner meeting of myself. But it's you guys that are my community, that I get well from, that I need to be connected to. And it's all about the food here for me. I don't, my sense of prayer is I pray for everybody's well-being here because I really love you guys. I'm in, I'll just send on this. I'm in the hardest time of my life in my abstinence. A lot of changes. Good. I made a decision to move in November. I'm in a new place and it's now. I've moved back to the area I'm from. I decided I'm done living in a house in Cape Cod. I don't want the responsibility. I have a husband who's going through changes with his memory. How do I want to look at my life? And I have a beautiful grandson, my son's first child, who was 3.5 months in the NICU, and he's home now with a G tube in his stomach. And it's like, I'm just another bozo who has a Gray Sheet thing going on, but I don't eat. And I keep close to you guys. My sponsor's great. We all get different relationships. Some of us text our sponsors, some of us talk to our sponsors whenever. It doesn't make a difference. It's what your truth is and what your comfort is. I'm not people pleasing and doing stuff in Gray Sheet. I was people pleasing my whole life and I wanted to effing kill you and kill myself. Not doing that. My people pleasing killed me. And a lot of foodies people please, and we're perfectionists and we're tough. I'm not doing that. Thank you. I'm going to just weigh and measure my food. Try. This is about me trying to be kind to myself. I've been kind to people my whole life and I hated myself. Like, who does that? Well, I'm just treading the road. But I just love you guys. But what I do love more than you guys is my food. And I eat like an effing queen. I love my food. Every single taste. I love eating out with GreySheeters or eating with GreySheeters. I do a lot in my life. I can't believe this is the end part of my life. Like I'm a senior, I've been citizen. I'm like that. I'm going to have fun. So that's it. You guys are awesome. And I just love you guys. So no matter what.